Hi everyone, this is Shannon from theirishscrapper.com, and today I have just a fun little Christmas project for you guys. This is actually a hand sanitizer holder. These fit perfectly for the Bath & Body Works hand sanitizers. So let's go ahead and show you how easy it is to make these. Super fun. We will be using Emerald Envy. This is cut 2 inches by 11. We're going to bring in the Stampin' trimmer and do some scoring. Okay, so our first score line is going to be at a 1/2 inch. So I'm going to go from this side here. I'm just going to score that. I'm going to turn it around, and then we have a bunch more to score. We're going to score at 1 1/2, 3 1/2, 4 1/2. We're going to open up our arm. We're going to do 6 1/2, 7 1/2, and 8 1/2. Okay, so I have my score lines. We are going to do a little background stamping just to make this more decorative. So let me grab my scrap piece of paper. I probably should have told you guys which stamp sets I am using. I'm actually getting the Merry Christmas Sentiment from the Merry Patterns. I'm using it. It fits perfectly with our classic label punch, so that's why I chose that. And I'm getting the snowflakes from the Seasonal Layers die Thinlits, which coordinate with Colorful Seasons. And I'm also using one of the layering ovals to cut the little slot to put our hand sanitizer in. Okay, and then a couple punches as well. I'm using the Starburst punch and then the 2-inch circle punch. You could use your layering circles as well. That would be totally fine. Okay, so we're going to open up the Whisper White Craft ink, and I have the snowflakes. That's right, I actually have the snowflakes from Night in Bethlehem. And we're going to ink that up, and we're just going to stamp that all over our Emerald Envy. Now remember, this craft ink is pretty wet, so you need to make sure you give it enough time to dry. If you're really in a rush, you could use your heat tool to dry the ink. That actually looks good. And I like to clean this with a baby wipe instead of rubbing it into my Stampin' scrub, because otherwise you'll be cleaning that more frequently. It'll put a bunch of white streaks in it. So that just works easy enough for me. Okay, so I do have my heat tool over here. I'm just going to turn it on and kind of give this a quick dry so that we can move on with our project for the video. Now we're going to do a little bit of scoring before we actually die cut that oval out. So from the 1/2 inch score line, we're going to score that. We're going to score all of the lines except the 6 1/2 inch. Okay, so that's 1/2, 1 1/2. Here's our 3 1/2, 4 1/2. I'm going to skip the next one, that's the 6 1/2. I'm going to go straight to the 7 1/2. And then the 8 1/2. Okay, so now I will grab our Big Shot and we will do our die cutting. So I have my magnetic platform in there as well as my one cutting plate. I am using the smallest oval out of the layering ovals. We're going to lay that between the 1/2 inch and the 1 1/2 inch. Okay, that's the spot where we're going to fit in our hand sanitizer. I'm going to run this through. Okay, so there's our slot, and you will see that from the hand sanitizer it fits perfectly in there. Okay, once I get this all scored and we put it together, you will see that. All right, so we're going to cut our snowflakes. So I'm going to add my precision base plate to my magnetic platform. I have a scrap piece of the Dazzling Diamonds glimmer paper. I'm using the large snowflake from the seasonal layers as we discussed. I'm going to run this through. Because there's a bunch of little pieces in this one, that's why I added the precision base plate. And I'm just going to run it through a couple times. And that will help us get the pieces out. Especially with the glimmer, it's a little thicker. So you want to do that. Okay. I'm going to grab a scrap of real red. And I'm going to use the little snowflake. And we're going to run that through as well. Okay. And then we will be done with our big shot, so we can set that aside. Okay, I do have my die brush here, as well as my pad. We're just going to run that through. The red one is all done. Now I'm going to run this over the glimmer. Okay, and now we can go ahead and assemble. So again, I'm just going to give myself a nice crease on these two here. Okay, I'm going to add some fast fuse to that 1/2 inch piece, and that is going to come right up here to this 6 1/2 where we did not score, and you're just going to lay that completely flush. Okay, and then I'm just going to give that a press. So here is our little hole. You're going to take your hand sanitizer and kind of put it in at an angle, and then it's going to fit perfectly, just like that. Isn't that cool? All right, so now I'm holding this so that everything is straight. That's going to be my guide for me to put a dimensional. So what I'm going to do is cut the edge of my dimensionals. I just want 2 of these. I'm going to pull that off. Okay, and we want to make sure everything is still kind of squared away here. Let me move my fingers. And then I'm just going to lay this in the center. I'm not overlapping. That's just going to kind of be a stopper for my opening. Okay? All right, so now we can go ahead and bring in our punches and get our circles. So I'm going to punch the starburst in the Dazzling Diamonds. Okay, so we're going to stick that in, punch that out. I am also going to punch an Emerald Envy 2-inch circle, just like that. I'm going to add fast fuse to the back of this. You definitely want a strong adhesive for it to stick to the glimmer. All right, and then we're just going to lay that right over. Give that a nice press. Now we're going to get our fine tip glue pen and add that to our Dazzling Diamonds snowflake. And I'm just adding it to those outside circles. And then we'll put just a little bit here. That should work. Let me get my fine tip glue closed. Okay, we're going to pick this up. I'm going to center that. Drop a block on it. That's to hold. And with the red snowflake, we're going to take a glue dot straight to the center, even though the center is not solid. And we're going to add that right to the center of our Dazzling Diamonds. And then we have our basic rhinestones. I'm going to add one of those to the center, but I'm going to put a little extra fine tip glue over that glue dot, just to be sure this holds. And I'm going to use one of the larger rhinestones. We're just going to lift that up, and we're going to drop that right there. And I'm just going to, again, leave my block there to help me out. Okay, now on a scrap piece of Whisper White, set that aside for a moment. I just have a nice big scrap. I'm going to open up my Real Red, and we're going to stamp that Merry Christmas from Merry Patterns right there. Okay, and then with our classic label punch, we are going to just center that. Fits perfectly, as you can see. We're just going to pop that out. Okay, so we'll add some fast fuse now to the back of our circles. And we'll bring back in our little hand sanitizer. We'll center that up. Give that a nice press. We will peel now the top part off the dimensionals, and we will lay our Merry Christmas right over that. Okay, and then just tuck your top part in, and that completes your little holder. Isn't that super cute? I love it. So you can see I did one in red, and I just kind of alternated the colors as far as the snowflake and the sentiment, and that's really as simple as that. So this would be a great little stocking stuffer or nice gift to children, teachers, you name it. It's wonderful. So if you'd like to purchase any of today's products, please head on over to the description of this video. You can find a full supply list. And don't forget, we are still having our Designer Series paper sale. So you can buy 3 and get 1 free. And there is a full list on my blog. So you can find that as well. And if you have any questions, please let me know. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.